I'd never been the type of person who enjoyed working out. My name is Jordan Mitchell. I'm 27 years old, and up until 6 months ago, my idea of physical activity was walking briskly through the grocery store when I remembered I'd left ice cream in the cart. I worked as a software developer for a tech startup in Seattle, which meant long hours sitting at a desk, surviving on coffee and whatever snacks the company provided, and generally treating my body like an afterthought. Then came my 30th birthday wake-up call, except it came 3 years early. I was climbing the stairs to my third-floor apartment one evening, arms full of takeout bags, when I had to stop halfway up to catch my breath, not because the bags were heavy, not because I was sick, just because I was that out of shape. I stood there on the landing, breathing hard, feeling my heart pounding, and something clicked. I was 27 years old, and I couldn't climb 2 flights of stairs without needing a break. What would I be like at 40? At 50? That night, instead of binging the next episode of whatever show I was watching, I researched gyms in my neighborhood. Most of them looked intimidating, full of mirrors and complicated machines and people who looked like they lived there. But then I found Elevation Fitness, a smaller gym that advertised personalized training for real people. The website featured testimonials from people who looked like actual humans rather than fitness models. The trainer profiles seemed friendly rather than intimidating, and they offered a free consultation. I booked one before I could talk myself out of it. The gym was in a converted warehouse space with high ceilings, exposed brick, and large windows that let in natural light. It was cleaner and less crowded than I'd expected. A few people were scattered around, someone on a treadmill, someone doing weights, someone stretching on a mat. Normal people? I could do this. Jordan Mitchell. I turned to find someone walking toward me with an outstretched hand and a warm smile. He was probably in his early 30s, around 6 feet tall, with dark hair, tan skin, and the kind of physique that made it obvious he lived and breathed fitness, but not in an overwhelming way. He wore a black athletic shirt with the gym's logo and dark gray training pants. "That's me," I said, shaking his hand. His grip was firm but not aggressive. "I'm Alex Torres, one of the trainers here. Thanks for coming in." His eyes were kind, with crinkles at the corners that suggested he smiled often. "How are you feeling? Nervous? Is it that obvious?" He laughed. "You'd be surprised how many people come in looking like they're about to face a firing squad. I promise this is just a conversation. No pressure, no judgment. Just trying to figure out if we're a good fit and what your goals are." He led me to a small office area with a desk, a couple of chairs, and walls covered with before and after photos and motivational quotes that somehow didn't feel cheesy. "So," Alex said, settling into his chair and grabbing a tablet, "tell me what brought you in today. What made you decide to look into training?" I appreciated that he asked what brought me in rather than what was wrong with me. I've been really sedentary for years because of my job, and I realized I need to make a change. I can't climb stairs without getting winded. I have zero energy. I know I need to do something, but I also have no idea where to start. Alex nodded, taking notes. That's really self-aware, and honestly, recognizing the need for change is the hardest part. Everything else is just mechanics. Have you ever worked with a trainer before? Never. I've never even had a gym membership. That's totally fine. Clean slate, I actually kind of love that because it means you haven't picked up any bad habits I need to undo. He smiled. What are your goals? And be specific if you can. Not just get in shape, but what does that look like for you? I thought about it. I want to have more energy. I want to be able to do normal physical activities without feeling exhausted. I want to feel stronger and healthier. And honestly, I hesitated, then decided to be honest. I want to feel better about myself. More confident. Those are great goals, Alex said, and he sounded like he meant it. Specific, measurable, and focused on how you feel, rather than just how you look. I can work with that. He asked me a series of questions about my current activity level, any injuries or health concerns, my schedule, my diet. I was honest about all of it, even the embarrassing parts. Alex never made me feel judged. He just listened, asked follow-up questions, and took notes. Okay, he said finally, setting down his tablet. Here's what I'm thinking. Based on what you've told me, I'd recommend starting with 2 sessions per week. That's enough to build momentum without overwhelming you. We'd focus on functional fitness building strength, endurance, and mobility that translates to real life. Nothing crazy, no trying to turn you into a bodybuilder unless that's what you want. Definitely not what I want. He grinned. Good, because that's not my style anyway. I'm more interested in helping people feel good and move well than in achieving some aesthetic ideal. We'd also talk about nutrition, not a diet, just making sustainable changes that support your energy and goals. That sounds manageable, actually. It's the idea. Fitness shouldn't be punishment. It should enhance your life, not consume it. He leaned forward slightly. I'll be honest with you, Jordan. The first few weeks are going to be challenging. You'll be sore, you might feel frustrated, and there will be days you don't want to show up. But if you commit to the process and trust me to guide you, I genuinely believe we can get you where you want to be. There was something about the way he said it, not cocky or salesy, just confident and sincere, that made me believe him. How do we start? I asked. How about we do a quick movement assessment right now? Nothing strenuous. Just want to see how you move so I can design a program that works for your body. Then if you're interested, we can schedule your first real session. I agreed, and Alex led me out to the main gym floor. For the next 20 minutes, he had me do various simple movements, squats, lunges, reaches, rotations, while he watched and took notes. He'd occasionally adjust my form with gentle corrections. Good, he'd say. Or try shifting your weight a bit more here. Or don't worry about depth. Just focus on control. He was patient and encouraging, never making me feel inadequate even though I was clearly struggling with movements that probably seemed basic to him. All right, he said when we finished. That gives me what I need. You've got some tightness in your hips and shoulders, totally normal for someone who sits a lot in your core, could use some strengthening. But you move well overall. No major imbalances or concerns. I can work with this. When can we start? How's Thursday morning? 7 a.m.? I must have made a face because he laughed. Not a morning person. Not even close. Evening sessions? That would be better. After work? I have a 6 p.m. slot open on Thursdays. And how about Monday evenings, Tuesday, 6:30? Perfect. We shook hands again, and he walked me to the front desk to set everything up. As I left the gym, I felt something unfamiliar. Excitement. Maybe even hope. For the first time in years, I felt like I was taking control of something, making a real change. I had no idea that Alex Torres was about to become so much more than just my trainer. That first real session on Thursday nearly killed me. I showed up at 6 p.m. in brand new workout clothes that I'd bought specifically for this, feeling like a fraud among the people who actually knew what they were doing. Alex was waiting for me with that same warm smile. Ready to get started? As ready as I'll ever be. That's the spirit. We're going to start slow and build from there. If anything hurts, and I mean actually hurts, not just burns from the work, tell me immediately. This is all about listening to your body. He wasn't kidding about starting slow. We began with a warm-up that involved movements that seemed simple, but quickly had my heart rate elevated. Then we moved into the actual workout bodyweight exercises mostly, with some light dumbbells, squats, push-ups, modified on my knees because I couldn't do a full 1, rows, planks that I could only hold for 15 seconds before my whole body started. Shaking Alex was beside me the whole time, demonstrating each movement, correcting my form, encouraging me. Breathe, Jordan. Don't hold your breath. Good to more. You've got this. Core tight. Think about pulling your belly button toward your spine. I was dripping with sweat within 20 minutes. My legs were shaking. My arms felt like jelly. And when Alex finally said, okay, last exercise, I could have kissed him. The cool down and stretching at the end felt like heaven. How do you feel? Alex asked as I lay on the mat, pretty sure I might never move again, like I just ran a marathon. That's pretty normal for a first session. You're going to be sore tomorrow. Hydrate a lot tonight and keep moving throughout the day even if you don't feel like it. Trust me, staying active helps more than lying still. If I survive until Monday's session, it'll be a miracle. He laughed. You'll survive. and you'll come back stronger. I'm proud of you for showing up and giving it your all." Something about hearing him say he was proud of me, even though we barely knew each other, made me feel unexpectedly emotional. When was the last time someone had been proud of me for taking care of myself? I was indeed incredibly sore on Friday. Every muscle in my body ached. Getting out of bed was an ordeal. Sitting down and standing up required planning and sometimes audible groaning. But by Saturday, the soreness had faded to a dull ache, and by Monday, I actually found myself looking forward to the next session. The second session was somehow both easier and harder. Easier because I knew what to expect. Harder because Alex pushed me slightly more. "Last time you did 8 squats," he said. "Today we're going for 10. It's a 25% increase. You can handle it. I believe in you." And somehow I did handle it. And the planks that had seemed impossible on Thursday lasted 20 seconds this time, over the next few weeks. A pattern developed. Twice a week, I'd show up at the gym, and Alex would guide me through a workout that was challenging but never overwhelming. He had an incredible ability to know exactly how hard to push me enough to make progress, but not so much that I'd burn out or get injured. But it wasn't just the workouts. It was the way Alex made me feel during them. He remembered details from our previous conversations. He asked about my work, my weekend plans, my life. He celebrated small victories the first time I did a full push-up, when I held a plank for a full minute, when I noticed I could climb my apartment stairs without getting winded. "See," he said when I mentioned the stairs, "progress. This is why we do this." He also started giving me nutrition advice, but not in the preachy way I'd feared. "I'm not going to tell you to never eat pizza or give up coffee," he said one evening as we wrapped up a session. "I'm just going to suggest small changes. Like maybe add some protein to your breakfast. Or try to have vegetables with dinner most nights. Little things that add up. That seems doable. It's because it is. Extreme changes don't work long term. Sustainable changes do." By the end of the first month, I had noticed real differences. I had more energy. I slept better. My clothes fit differently. And for the first time in my adult life, I actually enjoyed physical activity. But I'd also noticed something else. Something I tried not to think too hard about. I looked forward to seeing Alex twice a week more than I'd probably should. It started innocently enough. 2 months into training, I arrived for a Thursday session to find Alex looking slightly frazzled, which was unusual for him. "Everything okay?" I asked as we started warming up. "Yeah, sorry. Just a chaotic day. Had a client cancel last minute this morning. Then my afternoon session ran long because we were troubleshooting a form issue, and I haven't really had a break since 6 a.m. Have you eaten?" He paused mid-stretch. I actually haven't. I had coffee this morning, and yeah, that's it. Alex, I know. Physician, heal thyself, right?" He gave me a rueful smile. I'm terrible at taking my own advice sometimes. After our session, as I was gathering my things, I made a decision. "There's a Thai place around the corner from here," I said. "Let me buy you dinner. You need to eat, and it's the least I can do for someone who's basically changed my life over the past 2 months. Alex hesitated, and for a moment I worried I'd crossed a line. But then he smiled. "You know what? That sounds great. Let me just finish up here and grab my stuff." 20 minutes later, we were sitting in a small Thai restaurant, Alex with a curry and me with pad Thai, talking like we'd been friends for years rather than trainer and client for weeks. So I said between bites, "How did you get into training? You said this isn't what you always did?" Good memory. "No, I actually worked in corporate finance for about 5 years after college." I nearly choked on my noodles. Seriously? I know, right? Hard to picture now. But yeah, I was on track for this whole traditional career path. Good money, benefits, the whole package. And I was miserable. What changed? Alex leaned back in his chair, looking thoughtful. I had this moment when I was 28. I was sitting in a meeting about quarterly projections or something, and I just ... I realized I was going to be sitting in meetings like that for the next 40 years if I didn't make a change. And the only thing that made me feel good, the only thing I looked forward to, was going to the gym after work. So you decided to make it your career? Not immediately. First, I got certified as a trainer and started teaching classes on weekends while keeping my day job. But the more I did it, the more I realized it was what I wanted to be doing full-time. So I took the leap. Quit the finance job, went back to school for exercise science, and never looked back. Do you regret it? Not for a second. I make less money, sure. But I get to help people actually improve their lives. I see the difference it makes, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally. That's worth more than any corporate bonus. He looked at me. Like with you. You showed up 2 months ago, barely able to do a push-up, and now you're knocking out full sets. You have more energy, more confidence. That's why I do this. I felt warmth spread through my chest. You really do love it. I really do. He took a sip of his water. What about you? Do you love software development? I considered the question. Love is a strong word. I'm good at it, and it pays well. But I don't know if I'm passionate about it the way you're passionate about training. It's just what I do, that's honest. Not everyone has to love their job, but life's too short to be miserable, you know? We talked for over an hour, the conversation flowing easily from topic to topic. I learned that Alex grew up in Southern California, that he had 2 sisters he adored, that he was obsessed with dogs, but his apartment didn't allow pets, that he'd been trying to learn Spanish for years with limited success. I told him about growing up in the Midwest, about how I'd moved to Seattle for a job and ended up staying, about my complicated relationship with my family, about my small circle of close friends. It felt less like having dinner with my trainer and more like having dinner with someone I genuinely enjoyed, spending time with as we walked back to Ward, the gym where our cars were parked. Alex said, "Thanks for dinner." I needed that more than I realized. Anytime. And I mean that you shouldn't skip meals, sir, he said with mock seriousness, then grinned. See you Monday? Definitely. As I drove home, I realized I was smiling. And I also realized that at some point during that dinner, my feelings about Alex had shifted from appreciation for a good trainer to something more complicated. I liked him. Really liked him. In a way that had nothing to do with fitness. Over the next few weeks, our relationship evolved. We still maintained our professional dynamic during sessions, as we focused and professional when we were working out. But before and after sessions, we'd chat for a few minutes, those conversations gradually getting longer. How was your weekend? Became a regular question, and the answers became more detailed. I learned about his Sunday morning ritual of coffee and farmers markets. He learned about my Friday night tradition of bad movies and even worse takeout. 3 months into training, I had a breakthrough session where I finally did a pull-up, something I'd been working toward for weeks. Yes. Alex cheered, actually jumping up from where he'd been spotting me. That was perfect form. How does it feel? Amazing, I said, slightly breathless but grinning. I never thought I'd be able to do that. Oh, I knew you could. I've been watching your back get stronger, your grip improve. It was only a matter of time. His smile was so genuine, so full of pride, that I felt that dangerous flutter in my chest again. After the session, as I was leaving, Alex called out, "Hey, Jordan." I turned back. Yeah, I just wanted to say, you've been one of my favorite clients to work with. Your dedication, your attitude, the way you never give up even when things are hard, it's inspiring. I hope you know how proud I am of the progress you've made. It means a lot, I managed, hoping my face wasn't as flushed as it felt. You're a really good trainer, Alex. The best, probably.
Thanks.
See you Thursday? See you Thursday. So I walked to my car. I had to acknowledge what was becoming increasingly obvious. I didn't just like Alex as a trainer, or even as a friend. I was developing real feelings for him. The kind of feelings that made me look forward to our sessions for reasons that had nothing to do with fitness. The kind that made my heart beat faster when he smiled at me or put a hand on my shoulder to correct my form. It was a problem. A big problem, because Alex was my trainer, and that meant he was off limits. There were professional boundaries, ethical considerations, He'd probably worked with dozens of clients who'd developed crushes on him. He was attractive, kind, attentive. I wasn't special. I was just another client with an inconvenient attraction. The smart thing to do would be to maintain those boundaries. Finish out our training sessions professionally, and maybe gradually transition to working out on my own once I'd built up enough knowledge and confidence. That was the smart, mature, rational thing to do. I resolved to do exactly that. My resolution lasted approximately 1 week. I managed to keep things professional during our Thursday session, though it was harder than it should have been. Alex wore a new shirt, dark blue. Fitted Dan at one point when he was demonstrating a movement. I completely lost track of what he was saying because I was too busy noticing the way his muscles moved. Jordan, you with me? Sorry, yeah. Can you show me that one more time? But then Monday came, and everything got complicated. I arrived at the gym to find Alex looking stressed, which was rare enough that I immediately asked what was wrong. Stupid, he said, running a hand through his hair. Just personal stuff. Want to talk about it? We can skip the session if you need to. I know. Octu. Ally, working out might be good. Help clear my head. He managed to smile. Let's get started. We went through the warm-up, but I could tell Alex's heart wasn't in it. He was distracted, missing cues he'd normally catch, his usual encouraging commentary absent. Finally, halfway through the session, I stopped mid-rep. Alex, come on. What's going on? He sighed, setting down the weights he'd been holding. My ex texted me last night. Oh, we broke up 6 months ago. It wasn't great. And I've been doing fine. Really good, actually, moving on. But then he sent this long message about how he misses me and thinks we made a mistake and wants to try again. He looked frustrated. And part of me knows it's a terrible idea, that we broke up for good reasons. But part of me also remembers all the good times and wonders if maybe we could make it work this time. What are the good reasons? I asked, trying to ignore the part of my brain that was processing the fact that Alex had just said Alex dated men. Alex might be gay, or bi, or pan. This information felt significant in a way I wasn't ready to examine. He cheated on me. Not just once either. Multiple times over the course of our relationship, and I kept forgiving him because I thought... He trailed off. I don't know what I thought. That he'd change? That I could fix whatever was making him do it? You can't fix people, I said quietly. And you definitely can't make someone be faithful if they've decided they don't want to be. Oh. Emotionally, though, he shook his head. Sorry, this is really unprofessional of me, dumping this on you during your session. Are you kidding? After all the times you've listened to me complain about work or stress or whatever, this is what friends do. Alex looked at me, something shifting in his expression. Friends? I mean ... Yeah? Unless that's weird. I know I'm technically your client, but I'd like to think we're also friends at this point. We are, he said, and his smile was warmer than before. Definitely friends. And as your friend, I appreciate you listening to me be ridiculous about my ex. You're not being ridiculous. But for what it's worth, from an outside perspective, I think you should trust your instincts. If your gut is telling you that getting back together is a bad idea, it probably is. Especially if he's already proven he can't be trusted. You're right. I know you're right. Picked up the weights again. Okay, enough about my messy love life. Let's finish this workout. Completed the session. Alex's mood gradually improving as we worked. But the conversation stayed with me long after I left the gym. Alex was single. Alex dated men. This changed nothing. He was still my trainer, still off limits. But knowing it made my feelings harder to ignore. That weekend, I was grabbing coffee at my favorite cafe when I heard someone call my name. I turned to find Alex in line behind me, dressed casually in jeans and a gray Henley, looking surprised but pleased. Hey, I didn't know you came here. Best coffee in the neighborhood, I said. You? Same. I come here every Saturday morning before the farmer's market. He gestured to the counter. Want to sit for a minute? Or are you in a rush? I've got time. We ordered our drinks and claimed a table by the window. It felt different seeing Alex outside the gym, outside our usual context. More intimate somehow, even though we were in a crowded cafe. "So," Alex said, wrapping his hands around his mug, "I wanted to thank you again for Monday, for letting me vent and giving me perspective on the ex situation." Did you respond to his text? I did. I told him that I appreciated him reaching out, but that I think we're better off moving forward separately. It was hard, but it felt right. He looked at me. "Your advice helped. Glad I could help." We fell into easy conversation, talking about our plans for the weekend, debating the merits of various coffee brewing methods, discussing a new documentary we'd both watched. At one point, Alex laughed at something I said. The sound made something warm bloom in my chest. This was dangerous territory. The more time I spent with Alex outside of training, the harder it became to maintain professional boundaries in my own mind. But I couldn't seem to help myself. I liked being around him too much. "I should probably get going," Alex said eventually, though. He didn't move to leave. "The farmer's market gets picked over if you show up too late. You mind if I walk with you?" The words were out before I could think better of them. "I've been meaning to check it out, and I have no other plans." His face lit up. "Yeah, absolutely. Fair warning, I take the farmer's market very seriously. I have a route. Don't judge me. The good vendors sell out fast. You have to be strategic." I laughed. "Okay, I'm intrigued. Lead the way." We spent the next hour wandering through the farmer's market together. Alex wasn't kidding about his route. He had specific vendors he visited in a specific order, chatting with them like old friends, carefully selecting produce and artisan goods. He convinced me to try samples of about a dozen different things, from honey to cheese to some kind of fermented vegetable that was surprisingly good. "You're really in your element here." I observed as he debated between two different types of tomatoes. "I love cooking," he admitted. "It's relaxing. Plus, I like knowing exactly what's going into my food." He selected his tomatoes and paid the vendor. "Do you cook much?" "I'm learning too. Your nutrition advice has inspired me to actually use my kitchen for something other than storage." "Yeah. What have you been making?" "Nothing fancy. Stir fries mostly, some basic chicken dishes. But it's more than I was doing before, which was basically microwaving frozen meals." "Progress," he said approvingly. Then, almost hesitantly, "If you ever want tips or recipes or anything, let me know. I'm always happy to talk food. I might take you up on that." As we finished our loop through the market, both of us carrying bags of produce and goods, the conversation turned more personal. "Can I ask you something?" Alex said as we walked back toward where we'd started. "Sure. You mentioned a complicated relationship with your family. Do you mind me asking what that means? You don't have to answer if it's too personal." I considered how much to share. But Alex had been vulnerable with me about his ex, and it seemed only fair to reciprocate. "I came out to my parents when I was 22. They didn't take it well. Very religious, very conservative. They gave me an ultimatum: go to conversion therapy and fix myself, or they'd cut me off." Jesus, Jordan. I'm so sorry. Chose being myself. Haven't spoken to them in 5 years. Still hurt to say it out loud. My sister keeps in touch with me secretly, but otherwise I'm basically dead to them. Alex stopped walking, turning to face me fully. That's their loss. I know it probably doesn't feel that way, but anyone who would choose ideology over their own kid doesn't deserve to be in your life. Some days I believe that. Other days, I just miss having a family, you know? Yeah, I do. He shifted his market bag to his other hand. My family is great, super supportive when I came out in college, but I've seen what you went through with friends, and it's not fair. You deserve better than that. The compassion in his voice made my throat tight. Thanks, Alex. We walked in silence for a moment, a comfortable quiet rather than an awkward one. You know, Alex said eventually, sometimes the family we choose is better than the family we're born into. I hope you found that here in Seattle. I have, I said, thinking of Rachel and my other close friends. And I realized, thinking of Alex too. We reached the parking area where we'd both left our cars. This was fun, Alex said. We should do it again sometime. The coffee and farmer's market thing, I'd like that. As I drove home, I couldn't stop thinking about how natural it felt being with Alex outside the gym. How easy the conversation was. How comfortable the silences. How much I wanted to spend more time with him. I also couldn't stop thinking about the fact that he was still my trainer, and that getting closer to him personally while maintaining that professional relationship was going to become increasingly difficult. Something had to give eventually. Just wasn't sure what. 4 months into training, I hit a plateau. It wasn't anyone's fault. Alex explained that plateaus were normal, that bodies adapt, and sometimes you need to change things up to keep progressing. But it was frustrating nonetheless. I'd been making such consistent progress, and now suddenly everything felt harder and the results felt slower. Don't get discouraged, Alex said during a particularly tough session. This is actually a sign that your body has adapted to what we've been doing, which means we're ready to level up your programming. Level up how? More weight, more complex movements, maybe adding a 3rd session per week if you're up for it. He paused. Or I have another suggestion, but it's completely optional. What's that? There's a group fitness class I teach on Saturday mornings. It's circuit training similar to what we do in our sessions, but in a group setting. A lot of my clients find that the group dynamic pushes them in ways one-on-one training doesn't. This might help you break through this plateau. The idea of working out in front of other people was terrifying. But Alex must have seen the hesitation on my face because he quickly added, "It's a really supportive group. Mixed levels of fitness. No judgment. No competition. Just people working hard and encouraging each other. But again, totally optional. Can I think about it?" Of course. That night, I texted Rachel about it. Me. Alex suggested I try his group fitness class to be our eke through a plateau. Thoughts? Rachel, do I? Group classes are amazing. Plus, you'll finally meet other people from the gym. Instead of just pining after your trainer in solitude, me. I'm not pining. Rachel. Jordan. You talk about him constantly. You lit up like a Christmas tree when you ran into him at the farmer's market. You're totally pining me. He's my trainer. It's inappropriate. Rachel. Which is why you should make some other friends at the gym. Get some perspective. Also, group fitness is genuinely great for breaking plateaus. Win-win. She had a point. Maybe meeting other people at the gym would help me get some distance. Remind me that Alex was just doing his job and I was reading too much into his friendliness. I texted Alex, "I'm in for the Saturday class." "What time?" His response came quickly, 9 a.m. "Proud of you for stepping out of your comfort zone. You're going to do great." That first group class was both better and worse than I'd expected. Better because Alex was right. The group was supportive and welcoming. About 15 people showed up, ranging from incredibly fit to clearly new like me. Alex introduced me to everyone, and multiple people came up after to say they'd heard about my progress from Alex and were excited to have me join. "Alex talks about you all the time," one woman named Maya said. "He's so proud of how hard you've been working." That made me feel uncomfortably warm. Worse, because watching Alex teach the class was a whole different experience from our one-on-one sessions. He was dynamic, energetic, moving around the room to correct form and offer encouragement, demonstrating movements with a fluidity that was honestly mesmerizing. And I wasn't the only one who noticed Ty caught several people in the class, watching him with obvious appreciation. Of course they were. Alex was attractive, charismatic, and good at his job. I was just one of many clients who probably found him appealing. The workout itself was brutal, but in a good way. Alex had been right about the group dynamic there. Was something motivating about working alongside other people. Pushing through the tough moments together, after class, as people were cleaning up and chatting. Alex came over to where I was catching my breath. "How was it?" "Hard, but good." "You were right about the group thing, yeah?" "You thinking you'll come back?" "Probably. If that's okay?" "More than okay. You did really well today, Jordan. I could see you pushing yourself." Hey. He glanced around at the others, then said more quietly, "Want to grab breakfast? There's a diner near here that does amazing pancakes. My treat to celebrate you surviving your first group class." I should have said no. I should have created some distance, maintained boundaries. But instead, I heard myself say, "Sure." The diner was exactly the kind of place Alex would love local. Slightly run down, with huge portions and strong coffee. We claimed a booth. And Alex immediately ordered the usual, which turned out to be an enormous stack of pancakes with a side of eggs and bacon. "I thought you were all about healthy eating," I teased him. 6 days a week. On Saturdays after teaching that class, I eat whatever I want. Balance. He grinned. "What are you getting?" I ordered French toast, and we fell into conversation about the class. About some of the other members he thought I'd get along with. About his plans for the rest of the weekend. "I'm actually going hiking tomorrow," he said. "There's this trail about an hour outside.